This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
If you kind of look deeper at the situation, which I'm sure you will, because everything that we go through is an experience that we learn from.
And Justin Burke.
I come right in. I'm very sneaky about it. You'll be talking to someone and I'll just come in and sit at my desk and just bust one out real quick.
It is the 20th of May, 2024. My name's Corey Winfield, and this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Justin Burke in the studio.
Fabulous.
How you doing? Fabulous. All right. Wonderful. It is a fabulous day today.
It is. A little rainy, but it's still good.
Yeah, and I know tomorrow I'm going to be a little busier with other things in my life.
Yeah, for a long time.
Oh,
next 18.
I think for the next ever.
Yeah.
Unless I'm not going to be a dad who just walks away. No, I'm going to be there for my son. Yeah, my son Parker. We go in tomorrow morning, and we're going to have a baby. And it's something that I've wanted for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that I didn't have a child when I was in active addiction. There was a time in my life, Justin, where I used to tell people, well, I'm going to stop drinking when I get married and have kids.
Yeah, that don't work. I've had 2 during active addiction. The only 2 I got. And my son, I ended up signing off rights to, so that way I didn't have to pay child support. So that way I could keep using and whatnot. And his mom ended up getting remarried and wanted their own little perfect family, so I gave her what she wanted. And with my daughter, on the other hand, wasn't the case. I kept my rights for her and just continued using for a lot of years and seen her bits and pieces of her life, and it's hard on them.
Yeah, and what you just said there is the fact and the truth that I didn't want to see at the time. I just figured, oh, well, once I have them, I'll stop using. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It doesn't make you a bad person, and you said you didn't have to, but you did. You signed off the rights. Is that something you would do today? Probably not.
No.
But when you're in active addiction, that's the only thing that matters to you, and that's how addiction works. And that's why you hear stories of people putting their children in harm's way because they're doing drugs or making drugs. And it's not because at one time they were just born bad people. It's because the addiction takes over the brain, and it makes the brain makes you want to do what the brain wants to do. And that is get more drugs. That is not sleep. It's not food. It's not protecting your family. It's more drugs.
Yep.
More drugs, more drugs, more drugs. And, thank God you did snap out of it. Thank God that you did get busted and go to jail.
Yep.
Because that did save your life. Mm. You'd still be out there using today.
You'd
be dead.
Yeah,
probably.
I think the Lord every day.
You had no teeth. And it wouldn't matter. And a lot of people will say, well, I would never do that drug anyway. Okay.
Yeah, well, you say never, but
yeah.
You will try them all.
Yeah, and especially with my drug of choice was alcohol. And alcohol is a funny one because you're younger and you can get buzzed off a couple of beers. Then you pride yourself I can drink a whole 6-pack, and then I can drink a whole case. You start priding yourself, and it becomes a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And then it flips immediately because you do something stupid. Oh, well, it's because he saw where he's drunk. Well, it was before. It was oh, well, look at Corey. He can drink a whole 18-pack. And then it becomes, oh, Corey, he's a drunk. I don't want to be around him.
Right.
And being someone who drinks, your inhibitions are lowered. Your standards are lowered. The things you do are lowered. That's why you can't drive a vehicle. You make bad decisions. You just make bad decisions. So if someone comes along and they have a different drug and you're like, well, I'm already drunk, let me try that. That's how I tried every other drug ever. I was never just sober and thought, hey, let's do some coke today. I wasn't sitting around going, all right, yeah, let's try smoking meth. I wasn't sitting around doing that.
You already had a good buzz going and already mind altered and was well, it's the worst that could happen. Well, probably nothing.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I almost killed myself drinking. So what is this? It's heroin. Sure. Let's try it. That's the dangerous part of it. And ice or meth, whatever, that is something that you should never play with, you know, and being told early, like, oh, marijuana is so bad. And then I started to distrust people when they would tell me how, oh, don't ever try Coke. That's horrible. And I didn't die. I didn't have a heart attack from it. You know, like, what are they talking about? So I just assume that they lie about every other drug. But, you know, meth is one that I've never even heard someone say, don't ever try that. But that's me saying, don't ever try that.
No, I tell people all the time.
You know, don't even mess with it.
I'm like, you'll try it. You'll probably enjoy it, but give yourself a week or two actually on it, and it'll eat your soul.
Yeah.
Like, it'll take everything away from you. And
just when you try it once, you're going to want more. And you're going to be willing to do things that you never thought you would do to get more.
Yep.
And that's just the first time. So don't do it. But sometimes people get tricked into it. Sometimes people, hey, you know, try this, whatever. And they had no intention on it, but they were drunk. Like I said, people make bad decisions when they're drunk. Off to the races. And they never went to that party thinking they were going to smoke meth and be addicted to meth, but that's what happens. Yeah. You know, but alcohol, you know, that's what they started. Oh, yeah, that's safe and legal, isn't it? Yeah, it's not safe. it's the number one killer, really.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of safe and legal things, but it doesn't make it okay.
You know, are we just still living in the alcohol epidemic?
Sure.
What's going on with that, you know? And, you know, the opioid epidemic, okay, it is what it is. And I think people should, you know, get help for all the stuff that they do. But, you know, the fact that alcohol is treated in such a different manner, and some people would say, well, yeah, because some people can have some beers and go home. Sure. You know, and that's like saying, like, I don't think that people can just smoke some ice and go home and be fine.
No.
Maybe they can, maybe they can't. I don't know.
Well, I did in the beginning, but it didn't take long for me to be like, well, that was fun. I want more. And it just evolved itself so rampantly. Like, I thought I had it under control, but looking back on it, there was no control over it.
Yeah. No, it's so acceptable to drink your problems away. We were watching this show the other day, and the guy was like, oh, sit down there at this reading of the will. And the guy was telling the lady who lost her husband, you need to sit down. Here, have a drink. She's like, it's a little early for that, isn't it? And he's like, you're gonna need a couple of these to get through this today. It's like, okay. So that's like saying, hey man, sit down. You're gonna need to smoke this. Mm-hmm. Here. Just pop this pill real quick. And people do that all the time too. And that's kind of another one that can kind of get away from you as well. I mean, they all can get away from you before you know it. But alcohol is one that, you know, you're told that it's okay to, you know, have a few drinks, and that, yeah, people can do it. But like my little brother, he doesn't do it all the time. You know, he can have beers. My stepdad can have beers. I didn't drink that way.
No.
You know, it was like, well, let's numb something. Let's get messed up. And it was me trying to hide my pain and my suffering. But part of that was, well, I'll get married and have kids one day, you know, and then I'll stop the drinking, which is a lie, because no woman is going to stick with me for that. No, nobody wants to be around someone who's just drinking all the time and a drunk, if you want to say those words. Not that I like beat him up or anything like that. I'm sure I wasn't very pleasant,
Right.
but it is one of those things. And so to think that someone's going to stick with me long enough to get married to me, that's stupid. And then, okay, so even if I did trick someone into it and they married me and then I had children, well, now I'm just going to be a drunk father. I'm going to be hiding it. I'm not going to quit, you know, because addiction doesn't work that way. And some people will say, well, he's just a really bad dad. And that's not the case. You know, I mean, there are some just really bad dads out there that probably don't even drink or use drugs. You know, they're just bad people. But to say that every dad out there, whoever had a problem with a substance, is a bad person is incorrect. It doesn't mean that you don't love your child, even the one that you signed off the paper. It doesn't mean you don't love them.
Right. I do.
It was a huge part of your life. And was it something that you wish you could redo? I don't know. But you know, I both know you can't go back and change time. There's nothing you can undo. You can be sober today so that maybe one day he wants to reach out to you and go, Dad, like, what happened? Right. You know, maybe he just calls you Justin, whatever, you know, to have some kind of relationship with you, because I'm sure you'd be open to it.
Right.
And
I still talk to his mom quite a bit here and there.
Yeah. And just to be like on the up and up. And I'm sure she tells him that, you know, that, hey, yeah, your dad's doing better, you know, because I'm sure that they knew that, no, dad's pretty messed up. you know, and your father was messed up and he signed over rights to you. And that will make him feel some kind of way. And, you know, maybe one day hopefully he does. He'll want to reconnect with you and just be like, you know, tell me what happened. Tell me your side of the story. I know emotions get involved and things can get kind of heated sometimes, but you'll be older. He'll be older. You know, I had that conversation with my dad pretty much too. It's like, well, what happened, man? Like, I'm too old to be blaming people for stuff that happened. We can't change the past, but to kind of get their side of the story from it, you know, is something that kind of makes you think, and it'll have to be at a certain maturity level, and maybe he already is, you know, where he can handle that kind of conversation. But it took me a while, and took me a while to be sober to even have that conversation.
Yeah,
but
he's still going through growing pains.
I bet.
So I mean, like I said, I talk to his mom at least maybe once a week, if not every 2 weeks. We text each other, you know, here and there, and go on with our day, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I don't have to be a drunk dad.
Yeah.
I don't have to be somebody who's addicted, and it all is coming in at the right time in my life and in Marnie's life. It's just one of those things, man, that God is good.
Yes, he is.
Great, some people would say, you know, and I would be one of those people. Because when I decided to change the way I lived and to change my life, like I used to be all about, well, I still am a little bit about me. And I used to be about my career and you know, being in radio and wanting to do this, wanting to do that. And it was all about what I wanted. And then me going after it so hard and, you know, trying to make more money at it and trying to do this and trying to do that. And it's funny because all that I did was make money so I could drink and wash it down the drain. You know, it just flushed it right down the toilet. And now I do something that I love, which is this podcast. It really helps me kind of get things off my chest. I get to have fun, and I don't make a dime off of it. But the other stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes, you know, like helping people and, you know, creating this 217 recovery, I don't know what you want to call it, organization, nonprofit, recovery community organization. I mean, we do so many different things. You know, creating that has really kind of made things okay in my life. And it wasn't like that all the time. It was hard at first. And I mean, it's still hard now, but things didn't come easy. And I had to trust and have faith in God that it was all going to work out how it's supposed to. And, you know, doing something for a couple of years without getting paid anything at all, you know, is tough. And to stick through it and to just be like, God, I'm doing this because I know there's something that's coming.
I remember those days.
And it's like, you have to stick with it. And it was to very end, you know, when there's time where it's like, well, I got to not help people anymore. And I have to go get a real job. And things kind of just fell right into place like they were supposed to, like God wanted it, you know. And I say quite a bit that just like we want to see something from God, he wants to see something from us. You know, he wants to see that we do have faith in him. We're not just out here talking the talk about, oh, God's great, look at all the stuff I got. And it's not even about what I got. You know, it's not material stuff that I talk about. It's the real relationships. It's the love. It's just being present in the day. You know, that is something that is just so magical. And the fact that we can achieve things that we once thought were impossible.
Yep.
People laughed at us.
No, they have.
And when we've told them
Wholeheartedly.
our dreams and our ambitions, they laugh at us. And yeah, here we are.
It's funny how people used to laugh at us, be like, "You guys are smoking crack. Ain't no way that's ever gonna happen."
I don't think they ever said we were smoking crack, but
Well, it's figure of speech.
yeah.
But you know, it's yeah, it was funny, you know, to watch people laugh and then turn around and actually do it years later, you know, because you've been at this now for 3 years, doing the rides.
Probably
3.5?
2020. Yeah, 2020. So almost coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
And so like the first 2 years were just me, you know,
Right.
like not making a dime. You know, the company was making a little bit back in gas money, but then we, you know, run into treatment centers who wouldn't turn in the bill, and then we'd be left $5,000 in the hole, you know, and so that wasn't very cool. But it is what it is, and it wasn't about the treatment centers. It was about helping the people get to where they needed to go, and I had to be man enough to realize that. Like, I could be beefing with all these people who didn't do their paperwork and who rightfully owed us $5,000 because they screwed it up. Mm-hmm. And then they act like, oh, no, it's not our problem. And these are treatment centers that are, making tons of money. And here I am, this dude doing this stuff just because I want to help people and because I think God wants me to. But it all works out how it's supposed to. I could have been mad and bitter. I'm not doing one more ride. I'm not doing any more, but that's not my attitude today towards things. So it's good to change. And people are afraid to change. And there's a guy that reached out to me the other day, told me I need to be his sponsor.
Really?
I was like, well, I don't work the steps of AA, and I don't consider myself in that program, so I don't know how I'm going to be your sponsor. But we do recovery coaching here, so that's something we can look into. But, you have to have the desire to change. And sometimes you have the desire, but somehow the will's still not there.
Right.
Or
just lack it a little bit.
Yeah, the desire to still go out and drink or use is much higher. And you don't want to change anything. And sometimes you'll be blinded by, I don't even know, maybe the addiction to where you can't see yourself as the problem.
Right.
And when my stepdad or whoever would tell me, well, just don't drink anymore, just have two, like that doesn't register with me. Just don't drink anymore. That's like saying don't eat anymore, don't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
But until you realize like that actually is the solution, but there's a lot of stuff I need to do in between all that. Obviously I don't drink anymore, so there was some truth in that. Just don't drink anymore. Okay. But there was the stuff I had to go through personally and a lot of failures, a lot of trial and error and trying to figure out how I could still do it. Maybe just on the weekend, maybe just here, maybe just there. But when you look in the mirror and you realize like nothing good comes from this, like when you make a list of 10 great things that happen in your life because of alcohol or because you're a drug, you can't get to 10.
No.
Now, if you want to make a list of all the stupid stuff, all the things that you regret and embarrassed about, that list you'll be going for forever. 2 days. You're still writing. I'm like, all right, stop. It'll be a long ass list, and just that simple math, that simple look at it on a piece of paper, it should tell some people like, why am I fighting this hard? Why am I going against the grain when I know I've seen people in recovery who have stopped and their lives have gotten better, not overnight. It takes time to change. And it takes time to build those new relationships and to go after what you want to go after in life. But anybody can do that. And they told me never say that. Never say that anybody can do this because some people can't.
Well, no, it's not that they can't do it. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's a want thing. Like you have to want recovery to achieve recovery and sobriety. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone could do it, but how many of them actually want it? The ones that actually want it, keep it and cherish it and value their new life.
But I used to think too early on, like, well, I'm sober. I've been sober for 3 months. How come good things aren't happening? How come I don't have a job where I'm making, tons of money and I want a house again? I want a car. How come I don't have that yet?
It takes time.
But see, I didn't know that. Well, I did know that, but I didn't want that. I wanted it now. Like nothing's getting better.
Instant gratification.
I was still living at my mom's house. I'm like, come on, man. Like I need to get out of here. I need to do things, and I need to do what I want to do.
That whole instant gratification is still an addictive personality trait.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to get over it. Like, I want a new vehicle. Like, yeah, I really do want a new vehicle. For the price I pay for mine, yeah. I mean, I could afford probably 2 new vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but at the end of the day, I got stuck in a contract and I need to honor it because there ain't no way I can get a buyout from that.
Yeah.
And, it's just, it is what it is. So I got 2 more years counting down the payments.
Yeah.
Credit Karma told me I got 21 on-time payments. I need to get to 49. Almost halfway there.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Parker will be like 4.
Yeah.
No, he won't be 4. It'll just be 2. But yeah, so that's what we kind of want to do the podcast on real quick, and then we kind of get off into recovery talk, which is good for change. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Usually we'll go off on some tangent, and then it'll just be, wait, what? Are we talking anything recovery? Yeah,
Right.
But
Well,
no,
at least we got that out of the way first.
yeah, and I know you got a meeting to host, and I have to go home and get ready for hospital in the
Yeah.
morning. So
I really want to see pictures of you shedding little happy tears tomorrow.
tears of joy.
Yeah, tears of joy.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, and I'm cool with it. Like I'm gonna cry my eyes out, like just with happy tears, and just to be alive for this moment that I thought was impossible. It's kind of like my wedding. Which, if you want to see the wedding, 217recovery.com/wedding. It's a hidden page on our site.
Oh.
Yeah. And, I cried during that, because it was, again, one of those moments I thought I'd never see. I thought I would die alone and from drinking myself to death. Mm-hmm. And many times I wished for that. But to think that how dumb that was, and to still be on this end of it, well, not a lot of people. Well, I mean, a lot of people do get to, but a lot of people do die on the way before they can reach this point. So, I feel blessed, and it's all God doing everything, man. And I give all the credit to God. So,
This office is going to get awful lonely over the next couple months.
you guys will be pooping everywhere.
No.
Nobody's gonna shit shame you here at the office.
I'll still go next door.
You'll be shit shaming other people.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody's gonna be in here using the toilet. And the problem with this office, it's a great office.
Yeah.
But like the bathroom is right up front, man.
It's right in the middle of the office.
And then we found out once we put this scent thing in here that blows through the vents, which it smells good, but
Yeah.
it goes from there, somehow picks up every scent in the bathroom and brings it right into my
I
office.
think it's because the doors are real close together, so when it starts sucking in air, like it draws the air from that room, and the doors almost like connect. Like there's only like
It's horrible.
like they butt right up against each other, so it just sucks the air like,
Dear
and
God.
it goes all through the.
I'm not asking for too much here, but just a new office. It'd be great. And I love Jill. We love this office. We'll just have a different office
Right.
that I can go to. That's all I want, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. All right,
Amen.
we done. All right, yes, I'll have to have a baby tomorrow. And the next podcast that I'll ever do in my life, I will probably be talking about my son and how I'm posting pictures soon. So
I can't wait.
it'll be good. Wish us luck. We'll talk to you again at a time of my choosing.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. We hope you come back for our next episode.